All right, everyone, welcome to my video. I'm actually doing an action figure review of the 1000 Toys Re-Edit Halo Infinite 1/12 scale Master Chief Mjolnir Mark 6 Gen 3, or Mr. Halo. But kind of simple packaging. It is kind of cool how it has like this slip cover where you can see where Mr. Halo is actually inside. But yeah, let's get into it. For those that are not familiar with this format, I actually do a lot of this over at my other channel, Gundam Explained. I'll link below. And at that channel, I'm actually currently doing a giveaway once I hit 600 subscribers, which I'm very close to. So be sure to hit that up, enter the giveaway. You never know. There's 2 chances to win some cool Gundam gear. So let's get started. All right, so taking a look at the Chief here. Just looks great. The sculpt is immaculate. It just looks perfect. It looks exactly like you would expect Master Chief to look in toy form in 2021. This is the design from the new Halo Infinite. Multiplayer is out right now. It is a lot of fun. Yeah, really cool. You can't really feel it though, so I will tell you it feels plasticky in some parts, but then also metally in some parts. I don't know what it is. It's some parts like the feet themselves have kind of this cool to the touch. Jobby the Hong, shout out there. Or it could be some die-cast metal or some metal pieces to kind of give it more structure. Yeah, it is heavy lower here too, so that could be the case. But yeah, let's just take off accessories and get a clean look at him. All right, well, here he is. Here is Master Chief. Not as flattering as it seems from my point of view, the kind of cool look I'm going for, but I'll probably take some pictures with my camera and show that off. Yeah, let's kind of take a close look here. So you can kind of see they've got going on here in terms of detail. We'll get into articulation a little bit. It's got that 117 that we see with Halo Infinite. A lot of amazing detail on this. I mean, this is like super cool looking. I mean, I don't know what else to say. But very cool. Let's get into articulation. All right, so here at the head, let's see, it looks like there's 2 things going on here. We have probably some sort of ball joint that goes up from the neck into the head, and then down here at the bottom of the neck. So, oh yeah, look at that. There we go. That wasn't doing that earlier. So he can look up quite a bit. Get that gapping going on right here. Head on the back allows him to look down quite a bit. Okay, so yeah, let's look at that. That's some pretty good articulation. Taking into account the top and the bottom, you can get it to move around a lot. Okay, yeah, that looks a lot better than I had him before, now that I know you can move that up. Turning the head around, will I do that? And yes, it seems like he can do it without really rubbing on anything. I would just be careful with how delicate and detailed everything looks. I would hate for some of the paint to rub off, so be careful with that there. Shoulder, so there's these shoulder pads, and they open up, which you'd probably want that to happen so then you can move his arm up. And let's see, that's a little tough. So what's going on? If we can look inside here, there's a couple things going on. We've got, out of the kind of the shoulder area, it has its own hinge, and then inside there is a ball joint and a hinge. So that is a lot of articulation going on there, but it still seems to be a bit limited in terms of bringing his arm all the way up, unless I am missing something. You can bring his arm up like this, I guess, if you really wanted to, that way, because there is some room for that. But to go straight up, no, you can't do that. I don't know if that's going to be an issue. I just think that's kind of interesting. Yeah, even if you move it out, it still hits that right there. But yeah, with the arms moving out, that would look great if he's, dual wielding a hammer. That accessory is not included, but would be really cool. Or even with the pistol, that accessory is not included. All right, so kind of looking at the abdomen here. So with Chief, it looks like I'm seeing multiple layers. We've got this top layer, we've got this mid, and this bottom. He can move forward quite a bit, so you can really have him look down if he was looking at the scale weighing himself. That's exactly what it looks like he's doing. Also, if he was to move to look back and look up at the stars and dream about better futures, it doesn't go up too much, but I guess enough as you need. It's not like he's gonna go backwards to do any sort of gymnastics, so I think that works. As for the... Okay, this is really cool. Because of the multiple layers here, you can really have him do some really cool and I guess accurate looking waist swivel. Yeah, because there are multiple levels to that. So I think that's really well done there. And then what we get here is pretty interesting. This probably has to do with the leg movement. We have these pieces here, a little, you know, it reminds me of on my other channel reviewing a bunch of Gundam robot spirits, that they have like the waist armor, and sometimes it moves in certain ways to make it easier to articulate the figure. If we look at it, it looks like, where's that? Oh, you know what? I want to look at this back here. Look at the, as the articulation works, how it has like kind of that armor spine look, and that kind of, yeah, has its own movement. Looks very cool. But yeah, looking at this, it seems to be somewhere underneath here. Looks like it's back there somewhere. There is an area to that where this is connected to allow it to move up and down. So I'd like to get a good look at that, but it's kind of hard to. We might here in a second, because we're going to see what his spread is like. And it's a little limited, but really, does Master Chief need to do more than that? Maybe. But if we look at this, we could see where this allows for movement up a little bit. It's kind of a weird, giant little ball joint hinge thing going on. I don't really see that a lot with action figures. And it is kind of hard to move on its own. I seem to have to work on that separately. Let's see. But it does move up. You can get that up pretty far, because really a lot of the articulation is in this thigh swivel. That it's a hinge and it's a ball joint. So there's a lot of articulation going on there with the legs. I think I'd have to loosen that up or something to really get more access to his legs there. So thoughts right away, I'm not too sure. I mean, look at that. That actually gives him a lot of range. He can kick his own back, which is pretty cool. Although if you were to have the leg straight, and I think that goes back far enough. It doesn't really need to go any more than that, really. Let's see. And as I said, there is a thigh swivel. We've got the knees. So the knee moves back, and it has this right here that articulates on its own, which is really cool. Why that moves forward, I'm not too sure. Unless that has to do with maybe as I want to do some articulation of some poses down here to maybe make it stand better. I don't know, but I mean, still very cool. And then we go down to the foot here. See, it has a forward and back, kind of a side to side, and it could twist around however you want it to. It even has the toe bend here, which looks really good. And yeah, and then looking at the hands, because I kind of skipped over that, this is where it has kind of the ball joint that has, you might have to work at it though, because it does have an area where you can have it work a hinge, but you'd have to turn it. And sometimes the hands themselves turn on that ball joint hinge rather than getting the hinge to turn itself. So you kind of have to work on that if you want to get maybe a good pose for like holding the beam sword, which we'll look at here. Energy sword. Yeah, that's beam sword's Gundam thing. But yeah, energy sword we'll see here in a second. So yeah, let's take a look at accessories. All right, so this Master Chief comes with the energy sword. Doesn't look as cool as in the promotional shots, really, if you look at it. Kind of the color, it doesn't seem like it has any of that translucentness to it, but it has kind of the multicolored blue, white. It's passable, but not as cool as it looked in pictures. We also have the assault rifle, just the standard of Halo, the awesome. I mean, even in Halo Infinite, this is just a perfect weapon to use. It's interesting. I mean, looking at the detail in the paint, this thing is amazing looking, like top tier. But what's really cool is it has this little guy here that will sometimes come out, and that's cool that they put a little indentation there to make it easier for your nail to pull it out. But this allows you to attach it to his hip, and we'll look at that in a second when I do some poses. But yeah, that's very cool. We've also got the new shotgun. It's blasphemous, really, that they don't have the original, but hey, this works really well in game anyway. Yeah, again, this is a two-hander for him as well. It's got that hinge also, so you can attach it to the side. Now, I could be missing something, but it doesn't seem like there's a way to attach it to the back, even though it looks like there is a peg hole for it, like the other one that's, I forget the manufacturer, Jazwares. We'll look at it in a second. I'm going to do some comparisons here shortly. And then other than that, the Chief comes with some hands. So we see that he's got some fist hands going on here. And then he also has a karate chop hand if you want to do that, or some sort of salute to his team. You probably don't want it to point out that way. Here is a trigger finger hand, and then here is his grapple hand, but really this would be used to hold the energy sword, so that's pretty cool. Here's kind of I guess a relaxed, dynamic pose hand. You can actually use this to put on like the barrel of the assault rifle, for instance. So very cool. That's really it. Kind of limited, but still cool. All right, and here we go with the instruction manual. Just get a quick look. It doesn't really tell you anything much other than what it comes with. It doesn't even really show the attachment points that actually I'm about to show off for the accessories. So let's look at that. So it's very interesting. It's on both sides here. You could barely see it, but there's like a little area that looks like you would put a weapon in, and you actually just, let's see if I can get that on camera better. You can pull that down, push it up, pull it down, and that's where then you can fit in, one of two weapons. Just plugs in on the side. I think that's really cool. It fits in nice and snugly. It's a good way for him to, you can pretty much have him hold everything if you needed. Now, the other thing that I need to research and look up more closely is, and maybe we'll figure out right here, is this on the back looks like it can come off. Let me give it a shot. I try not to resort to this, but I've had to do this with the robot spirits. Is sometimes there's things that require some surgical precision because I don't want to break it or damage it, the paint or anything. So let's see if I can actually get this. Okay, well, unless mine is just stuck in place, I'm going to go with a big no on that. This does not come off to put in a weapon, even though that's what Chief would do, and it looks like it is a separate piece. It must just be glued in, which is hilarious because this is the exact same sort of thing that occurred with the other Master Chief. So let's look at that here. All right, here is the Jazwares Master Chief. He's a little bigger, and it's kind of typical for Japanese style toys to run a tad bit smaller, even though they're supposed to be the same scale. I will say I like the details going on with Chief here. Also, if I'm not mistaken, I might have actually put a black wash on this to kind of give it some more detail. But yeah, it's this back here that you can attach a weapon, and this is supposed to come off. I think for some it was glued on, but it does have like the side areas here where I actually put some more glue around it just to make it easier to stick. You can actually see on this side, it's like closed, and you're supposed to be able to remove it like this and put it on here. So very interesting. It has that. Now this has a more plasticky feel to it. I feel like you could just break this by pulling it apart in terms of where it would like kind of stretch or turn white, if you know what I mean. I mean, really looking at this, this is a cool looking Chief still, and it has a really good size to it. It's just some of the articulation, especially here, is a little weird. I haven't done a full review, but that's that. Although what's really cool is they made my favorite scale. They made the 3.5 or 4-inch version, and I think it just works perfect for that scale. It looks really cool alongside him. It's like, dad and son hanging out. Just for fun, here's a Mcfarland Hayabusa. Just looking at this between the hips, the size of the arms with the legs, this thing is really at a scale, but the detail is awesome. I'd love to have a 100 Toys version like this. And so really, I gotta say, this is a good figure. Was it worth the price? I think it is for Halo fans, because it does run between $140 to $170, depending on where you get it. There's even like a special edition that comes with a red energy sword and maybe some other weapons with it as well. But, I mean, just holding it in your hand, it is very, very good quality. For some reason, the hands themselves don't seem like good quality. They seem very rubber. They almost seem like the same hands from the Jazwares version. And they just, stick on these kind of smaller pegs here that don't really have too much to it. And I don't know if that was to keep it from breaking. There's some interesting engineering going on here, as we see, like with the possible die-cast metal feet to kind of keep the weight down. And we see some little areas here where there's articulation to kind of help it move. And then, yeah, very interesting to see how the weapon system works. But again, this back eludes me. I mean, it looks like that would come off, so there would be another spot to plug that in. I mean, that's how Chief would do it. I'm kind of disappointed that's not the case. So Maybe I'm wrong, and someone in the comments can let me know if they figured that out. But anyway, if anyone has any other questions about this, maybe something I have not went over or something that would be cool to see, yeah, let me know. And thanks for watching.